Welcome to Living Large Radio. I'm CJ Collins, your host, and I'm with the CEO and founder of Alloy Wealth Management. And today we're talking about the 5 costly mistakes in retirement. Mark, how are you today?
I'm fabulous. Got to get up again today. That's how I choose to start every day. I say that a lot, but I truly mean it. It's one of those words that or questions you get a lot. Like I'm a creature of habit, as most people are, CJ. And again, I'm glad you're back hosting for us today. You've done it before, been on the show as a guest, and then came on. And I always want to recognize your military career, major in the United States Army, and which is awesome. And we certainly appreciate what you do for us, keeping us all safe. But with that said, glad to have you back hosting. But I'm a creature of habit. I stop in the same places. Typically, you can pretty much time me. I know where I'm going to be. The people know I'm going to show up there. I could get the drinks out of the refrigerator, but I usually will stop. If I need gas, I'll get it. But otherwise, I like walking in, getting my drinks, taking them to the car, saying good morning and stuff. And you get that question, hey, how are you today? And they know me now. They'll say, hey, Mark, how are you today? and I always have some crazy answer. I'm great. I'm fabulous. I'm this. I'm that. But it's really this idea, and I had someone ask me recently, are you always this, quote, happy? And the answer is yes. CJ, you've known me quite a while now. Do you recognize many times when I just don't start my day, at least, with that bubbly, outgoing personality?
No, that's who you are. That's 100%. That's Mark
fake.
Henry, right?
Yeah. And Cynthia on our television show, after I guess we're getting close to 300 episodes, says she's never seen me no other way. And today, when we go into this and we break down these mistakes and costly things that could derail your retirement and all, I hate the negativity that sounds like, but it's just good information that people need to look at. And they need to be, whether they ever join us at Alloy Wealth or not, they need to be looking at this to make sure they don't make some of these mistakes. I wish somebody would have done that for my father. But this idea of why I'm always so enthusiastic, so full of life, so wanting to be happy is I realized at some point in my life that happiness became a choice. And I don't think I really knew if it was a choice. I thought, well, it's rainy today, so I won't be as happy as I am on the sunny day because I truly like being out in the sun. Or this happened, or, oh, okay, of course, somebody cut me off, and I'm in heavy traffic, and now I'm going to be upset. And I realized this idea that I was giving power a lot of times to people I don't even know. They're in the other car. I don't even know who these people are. But I was giving them power to control my life because of their crazy actions. And I'm sure the listeners right now, especially the ones that are driving, are going, I just had that happen, you know? Because obviously nobody's as good a driver as I am when I'm on the road, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. And so we're out there doing battle with everybody else who's an inferior driver. And as men, that's how we tend to think anyway.
Yep.
So, but what was happening is I would cause them to change my mood, my temperament. And what I was really doing is giving power in those cases to people I didn't even know. They certainly didn't deserve it. And I just made a mental shift, and it didn't happen overnight. It took me some time, but I choose happiness.
Yeah.
And so I'm no longer the crazy driver. I'm no longer the one that gets upset. I realize now that, Seth is the one that races cars, and it does matter where he's at on the track. But where I'm at on 485 makes no difference to anyone. And if somebody's going faster or somebody's going slower, I can go around them. And I just drive with a difference because I don't want to give up the power.
Yeah. I mean, you're really harping on and hinting at this idea that you're in control of your own actions, and the actions of others can't control your actions.
That's correct.
I think it's really impactful because it gives you all the control back in that conversation.
Well, it does. And so I had a way I was going with this, though, today, because it's the same thing when it comes to the job that I've chosen to do with my life, and I'm so passionate at it. I said this recently to someone that I saw in the grocery store. And they had asked me about, they knew who I was, and just we had a little short conversation in line. Imagine that I was at the the Harris Teeter in Mint Hill, and it wasn't a busy time because it was Sunday after church. So who would ever go to the grocery store Sunday after church? And of course, they had one register open, but the self-serve was open. And I am perfectly capable of using the self-serve checkout, but I had a pretty big order. And I don't know, prices still seem high at the grocery store to me. All this inflation is coming down. Again, we've talked about that.
Yep.
It doesn't mean the price is going down, does it?
No, it does
It
not.
means it's going up slower. But I feel like for what I'm paying, they could at least ring it up and throw it in a plastic bag for me.
Sure.
You know, paper would be preferred, honestly, because I like paper bags
yeah,
better.
yeah.
But so anyway, I'm in the line with her, and we're having this discussion, and she made a comment about, you seem so passionate. And I told her, I said, well, I don't know if you work with a financial advisor or not, and I'm certainly not asking you to come see us. But I would tell you that if you go to see your financial advisor and it feels like they're going through the motions just to see you, I think you're with the wrong one.
Totally.
Because I am passionate, because I want to, winning to me is when my clients tell me they're happy. When my clients tell me they're so glad they joined. When my clients take we had no idea we could go ahead and retire a year early or 5 years early. We had no idea we were going to be this successful. When I hear those statements, that's what feeds me. That is what I feed off of that. Obviously, there's financial gain when clients join us. We're a for-profit company. That's great. But at this point in my life, that's become secondary to what I really want, which is to educate and help others, because that's the feeling that pays me the most. Now, the good news is the job pays pretty good too, so that really works out well for me. But that passion and desire is certainly there. And again, I think that goes back to this idea of choice. So where I was going with this, CJ, and I want you to, I know I've kind of gone on a tangent there.
It's been nice though, I like it.
Well, it's this idea of this control, because I'm choosing not to let others control me.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no control over what somebody does to me, what they say to me, or how they drive and cut me off on 485. I have no control over that. But God has given me 100% clarity and control over how I respond. It's whether or not I choose to use it.
That's right.
Right?
And
It's
that's
a
the hard
choice.
part.
It's
Yeah,
a choice.
it
It's
is.
whether I choose to use it. Well, when it comes to retirement planning, it's kind of the same way. Are you going to give the control to Wall Street that doesn't deserve it, to your big box financial planner that may or may not deserve it, may or may not always have your best interest? I hope they do. I believe the industry's good and I believe they're fair. Or are you going to choose to put things in place in your retirement plan that allows you to have more control over your retirement than leaving it up to chance?
Yep.
Leaving it up to the crazy driver that then changes my mood.
And it feels like a lot of folks do that, right? They create some kind of strategy around it, and then they don't adapt to the changing environment that exists. And they let other people dictate how it's going to impact their retirement.
It's this idea of you did it a certain way and it got you a certain predictable result. When it comes to retirement planning, the way you did it is not how you're going to do it in retirement. It's a completely different system. And most people don't even recognize the change. The way you do the planning, the way you build the portfolios, the way you build the strategies have to switch from investing. What is that? That is taking an asset and investing it to see future growth, potentially.
Sure. You have to turn that into something eventually, right?
That's the goal. When you get to where I am, with the people that I work with, that Alloy Wealth represents and work with, there are people that have done the investing. They're still going to do some potentially for the next 10 or 15 years, but they've done the investing, and now what are they doing? They're switching into the withdrawing, and it is a completely different set of rules. And most people, unfortunately, are not good at changing, because what they've done, how they did it, is how they think they should be doing it in the future, because it's got them where they're at. You know, I love that saying, dance with the one that brung you. Well, this got me here, but it won't keep you here. My dad, as you know, found out the hard way about that.
Yeah.
In one day, one Monday, he learned the hard way that what he had done wouldn't get him where he needed to be. They're telling us we got to go to a commercial break, CJ.
They are, and I hate that because it's such a good discussion right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, you're saying the right things, Mark, and we would just love it if you guys would give us a call. If you're listening right now and you want to take your financial future seriously, you need to come in and you need to get a written income plan. If you haven't done that piece, that's the number 5 mistake that people make that derails your retirement. You got to come in, give us a call, 800-501-9805. That's 800-501-9805. Claim your spot today to sit down with us and look and try and get that first step that most people make, get that written income plan.
Well, the reality is, CJ, as you know, it'll be done by a certified financial planner. They're going to build the entire plan, including the written income plan, right? And what are they going to charge them for it?
It's free. It's 1,000% free. You just got to take your time. That's the cost right there.
Yeah.
A little bit of time to do it.
I think it's the cost of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's also the unknown.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown. What if I go in and it's not what I thought? What if I go in and I'm not heading to the retirement I want? What now? Do I really want to know that? Well, I would say you definitely want to know it, which is why you need to pick up the phone and give us a call.
That's right. Give us a call. Commercial break headed right now. We'll be right back to give you the other 4 steps that people are making, the mistakes that derail their retirement with Mark Henry. Welcome back to Living Large Radio with Mark Henry. I'm CJ. Mark, we've been having a great discussion on some of the topics on derailing retirement, right? And so what are folks doing and saying that derail their retirement? And one of the things that's impactful, I think, with this conversation is self-talk. So what do people say to themselves in retirement that affects the decisions they make?
Well, I actually am doing a YouTube video on this. I think it's going to come out this week or next, but I did this about the 5 things you should not say after 60 years old. And I don't know why I picked 60, but it seemed like a good number. But I want you to hear this. I made this list up, but number 1 was, well, I'm too old for that. Stop it. Are you kidding me? I am not going to be that guy. Listen, I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's just an amazing actor. And I'm not a fanboy, but because some of those people just live on another planet out there in Hollywood, just being honest. It's just
I grew up on the movie Speed, so.
Right, there you go. But he seems like one of the most normal ones that's come out of Hollywood.
Sure.
He stayed that way. Everything I read about him and all, but I like him because he formed a motorcycle company, Arch Motorcycles, and he is a passionate motorcycle enthusiast as I am. And I remember, and I don't think it's his saying because he's just quoted it because it's been around for a long time. You don't get old and stop riding. You really don't. You stop riding and get old.
Okay.
And that's the reality of it. It really is. You say, oh, come on. Well, it's really, and I believe that. Like, I have planned a trip to Alaska several times. I'm going to ride Charlotte to Alaska. There used to be a Speed Vision that was in Charlotte, television was in Charlotte actually, and a guy named Dave Despain, who I used to know when I was road racing back in the early 80s. He came out, and I actually was an instructor, helped him show him how to road race. He wanted to become it, and he was on Speed Vision, and he was a passionate motorcyclist. But he took a motorcycle and rode it from the studio over there in Charlotte, where he used to be when Speed Vision was around, and he rode it and filmed it all the way to Alaska. So he rode Charlotte to Alaska and then shipped his motorcycle back. And I'm going to do a similar trip, and I've tried to do it a couple of times, and life has gotten in the way. And but I'm at a place now where I'm going to do this trip. It's a solo trip, backpacking, and I'm going to have Terry fly to different spots to meet me, but she's not obviously doing the trip with me or anything. But this idea that you're too old for that's ridiculous. You're only, if you tell me you're too old for it, I'm going to agree with you. Well, you're a grown man or woman, and if you say I'm too old for that, then I believe you. But you won't see me say that. Because I am going to I'm going with gusto through this thing we call life. And I am not going to be too old for anything. It's why I still play video games. People say, that's ridiculous. It's not. I love it. I don't have the time in my schedule to play as much as I would like,
Sure.
But I find it as a great escape. There's no phone going on when you're playing a video game. When you're in the middle of Call of Duty, I gotta go. I gotta go. So, and this other one is the one I was really wanting to focus on here, because this one's going to tie into one of the mistakes we're seeing people make. But it's this idea of talking about back in my day, or that's not the way I always did it, or this new generation. Stop it. You're going to be a grumpy old man, and I don't want to be that, at least not yet. And so what I mean by that is, yes, 20 years ago, we did things differently. Yes, there's parts of America that were around 20 or 30 years ago that I wish were back. Patriotism for our country would be one of the first ones I would go with. Working in the military as you have with your career. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Sure.
It was different 20 years ago?
Definitely. The world has changed so much in the last 20 years with technology alone, not just, that's a facet of it. And the internet,
changed everything.
Exactly.
But this idea to tell the youth of our generation now, the ones that I would call the ones that are all younger than me, it seems like everybody's younger than me now, that they're doing it wrong, or back when I did it, I would have done it this way and all that. Think about you listening right now. Your parents said the same thing about you. Look, I was a kid in the 70s, but I saw my older brother and sister, and I saw what was going on in the 70s. That is you boomers right now. I'm talking to you, and you were those crazy people at Woodstock and everywhere else and doing and your parents and grandparents were saying, well, that's back in my day, we'd have never done that. These kids society's going to end because of them. And it didn't. You're the greatest generation. When you think about the growth, the size, and the accomplishments of the boomers, it's amazing what they've done.
Sure.
So we can't look at the youth today and think that way. Well, here's where that ties in to the mistakes we see people making. Like one, retiring without an income plan. People look at a statement and think that's their income. Well, where on there does it tell you how much you can pay yourself every month after taxes, adjusted for inflation, and not run out of money at, say, 90 years old or 95? It doesn't tell you that.
It does not. Nope. And there's no guide to that.
There's no guide. But that kind of thinking,
sure.
Well, that's not how I've done it. That's not how I did it. That's not how I got this $1 million. I got this $1 million portfolio by just buying and holding. Great. And when you're investing, that's a great way to do it, because you're putting money in the account. And that is going to absolutely, in my opinion, my professional opinion, and many others, it is going to torpedo your retirement when you're just simply holding assets, taking money out of them, whether they're going up or going down.
You have to move stuff around, right?
It has to happen. It has to be different.
Yeah.
You should not be taking withdrawals from a portfolio that's going down.
Sure.
You should have an income plan that pays you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that when the market's down, what do? Don't touch it.
That's right.
Because that is what you used to do. That is how you got the million. You know how you got the million? Because when the market was going down, you were putting money in it. Well, you're not working anymore, so you're not going to be putting money in the market. However, you could at least not withdraw. Well, if you don't withdraw, what do you live on if you don't have income?
You get to live with your kids.
Right. Think about it. Yeah. And look, I like my kids. One of them not so much today, but whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't want to live with them or be a burden to them.
Sure, yeah.
And a recipe for that is the income plan.
That's right.
Well, there's other stuff that goes along with this. What's one of the other mistakes that you have to do and think about? So we have this idea of income plan, but what about this? Do you know there's people that believe they're going to spend less in retirement?
No.
I just did a YouTube video on this.
Yeah.
There's articles in the Wall Street Journal all the time talking about plan on living on about 75% of what you were making when you were working, 80%. They're nuts.
But I'm paying for Social Security. That'll give me my money back, right, Mark?
It'll give you some money. It'll give you a benchmark, but what does that have to do with anything? Social Security's not going to let you live in retirement. We all know that. It's never going to happen. So think about this. This idea that you're building a plan for retirement based on incorrect spending habits.
Sure.
You're sitting there thinking, well, we currently spend this. I won't have to go to the dry cleaner as much. I won't have to do this. I'll do that. I can cut back. So I used to spend $7,000 a month working, and honey, I believe we can now spend $5,000 a month, and we're going to be just fine.
Sure.
Here's what's wrong with your plan. You, for the first time in your life, have something you've never had. It's a 4-letter word. What is it? Time. You've never had it.
Yep.
You have time. You have freedom. And guess what comes with that? New things you want to do.
Sure.
And time is money. And it's going to cost you money to fill that time.
Sure. I also think people are using that time as money as well. So what can I not spend that I use that time to maybe do something? And so if I did pay somebody to mow the lawn, do I still want to do that, or do I want to mow the lawn myself, or whatever that piece might be?
Right.
And I think it's hard to vision see where you're going to be in retirement and know which of those decisions you're going to make. And then maybe you make the wrong one. You say, hey, I planned that I was going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. And that's where some of that time equals money becomes an issue for you.
The reality is this. I talk to encourage everyone to at least plan to spend what you're currently spending. For most people, myself included, if you give me more time, my spending will go up.
Sure.
Because there's things I want to do.
Sure.
And I don't want to wait until a time where I can't do it, that I'm too old for that. Well, there will be a time where a 15-hour trip to Europe doesn't feel like something I want to do.
Sure. I don't want to do that.
So I want to do it now while I'm looking forward to it, while I'm willing to do it.
Yep.
And that, again, requires you to spend more money during the go-go years. That's 60 to 70,
Yep.
60 to 75. Less money in the slow go, 75 to 85. And then you're not doing as much in the no-go. However, it doesn't mean you don't need money in the no-go. No, you won't be filling your time up with travel and stuff, but how do we know healthcare is not going to be a big erosion? And not planning for those things is part of what we're talking about. So I know we've got to go to commercial break right now. Let's open the phone lines up. We've got an amazing opportunity, and I know you'll tell them about it, but understand this. When you call in, we're going to have the number, and it's, 800-501-9805. So there you go. CJ will give it to you again, but when you call in, it's not a toll-free helpline. Book an appointment to come in and claim an opportunity to work with a licensed fiduciary and have my team of licensed, certified financial planners help get you started on a much more confident financial future. CJ, tell them about that.
That's right. Give us a call, 800-501-9805, even if you think you have it together. You think, I've got this done. We've already created our financial plan. We know the direction we're going to go. It's free to have somebody come and review that.
Second set of eyes.
Second set of eyes. You just look at it. If you think you're ready, go on the website alloyquiz.com. Go on there and you can check out that to say, hey, this is the stuff I've got, and we'll come. We'll look at it, give it a second set of eyes, and we'll say, yeah, you're good to go. Or maybe there's some adjustments we need to make moving forward. But we got to go to a quick break. Living Large Radio coming back at you really quickly after this commercial break. Welcome back to Living Large Radio. I'm CJ. With me, Mark. Mark, we've been having a great discussion about...
It's been a fun one today.
It's been... I always enjoy the conversations we have, and I learn so much during the conversations. And one of the things that is just on people's minds all the time, and I think we pretend to know about it, but we really don't know about it, is taxes. All right? It's the worst. There's two things you're going to do in life, Mark, all right? And that's one of them.
Yeah. There are two things you're going to do. That's right. People laugh about that, but here's the reality. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is ignoring taxes in retirement. And what I mean by that, obviously I don't mean not paying them. That doesn't work out well. So yes, that would be considered a big mistake to ignore paying your taxes in retirement.
Sure.
That is not what we're talking about. But it's one of the reasons I did another video on Living Large, cheap plug for our channel, Living Large Retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a YouTube video, and I probably need to redo this one. It's been a few years. But it was this idea that you're going to break up with your current financial planner. And how presumptuous of me to tell someone that I don't know, have never met, and they're driving in the car and they're listening to this, to say, you're going to break up with your current retirement planner or money manager or whatever they call themselves this week. And I'm telling people they're going to do that, and they don't believe me. Well, here's how I know they're going to do it. Because their current big box firm has never built an income plan. They've never showed them how to get the money out of these taxable accounts and into their tax-free accounts or into their pockets in the most tax-efficient manner possible. And the reason you're going to break up is you risk failure in retirement if you don't. And it doesn't make the people that are currently doing it for you bad. They're excellent. They simply do not do what we do at Alloy Wealth. They don't have a tax department, not to help prepare your taxes. That's what they do in March, you know, and they build you a tax return. I'm talking about advanced tax planning with a clear written discussion about how we're going to get money out of the 401, the 403, and the plethora of accounts that you've never paid tax on and into Roth accounts, into your hands, and how we're going to leave that money to your children in the most tax-efficient manner possible. And guess what? Most of the people listening right now know I'm telling the truth because they have no idea how to do it. We're in the greatest tax window in history right now, and we need to be doing it. If taxes never go up, and I believe that is absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever said, if taxes never, we know they're going to go up. But
No, we'll have another Boston Tea Party.
But guess what? If taxes never went up, you still need to do it.
Sure.
Because you're going to leave the money to your kids one day, and they're going to pay an insane amount of tax on it.
Even when you're alive and trying to support your kids. So we went through this in our family where we were buying a house and family was trying to give us money. And there's a lot of different issues that come from parents giving kids money for a house already.
They don't even know how to do it.
And it's very nuanced.
And they just, so the company you're currently working with isn't prepared for that.
Sure.
And then you go into the ones that will tell you they are, and then you find out they're insurance licensed only. Or their planning doesn't include using certified financial planners. So here's like an immediate deal breaker for me. And it doesn't make your advisor you're currently working with a bad person, him or her. It's not about that. But if I was going to go, and let's say I'm not coming to Alloy Wealth, or I was coming to Alloy Wealth, and I want to ask them a question. Here's one of the first questions I would ask. How are your people licensed? Are they stockbrokers? Are they insurance salesmen? Or are they licensed fiduciaries? Right there, number one. Number two, do you build plans using certified financial planners? So in my company, not all of our fiduciary advisors are certified financial planners. Some of them are. But every plan is done by a certified financial planner. That's why we have them on our team. That's what they do. So the fiduciary meets with you. They talk about what you want to do. Certified financial planner takes all that data, builds the plan. Sure. Again, does that mean that someone that's not a certified financial planner can't do the job? No. But if I'm starting with the best, and they're supposedly the best. That's why I'm going to start with them. Then you move to the next phase of that. So you talk about the income planning. How are they licensed? Then I would simply go to BrokerCheck. There's many imitators out here on YouTube or on the radio or even television. I would simply do a BrokerCheck. People say, what do you mean a BrokerCheck? Yeah, go to FINRA, go to BrokerCheck, type in their name, and see how many complaints they have. Again, it doesn't make them a bad person. They might be a great one. But I'd probably start off with the one that had the least amount, or maybe none. Why would you even go visit the one that has 10, 12 or more, or 2 or 3 or 5? Why? They may be great, but why would you start that way?
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Coming back to your first point, I mean, why is it so important to have a fiduciary?
Because they're licensed. Again, it's like when you get a lawyer, and we use lawyers all the time to build our estate plans. I'm a certified estate planner. Estate planning is very important. It's one of the mistakes. It's not on this list today, but it's one of the mistakes we see people make all the time. Especially we see athletes and entertainers and stuff happens all the time. They hit the news. But if all those people are making the mistake, how many moms and dads are making it? Tons. Totally. Yeah. Okay, so when you think about this, a fiduciary is licensed, and in the license it says they have to do what's in their client's best interest, not in theirs, their client's. Now, does that immediately mean that someone that's not licensed as a fiduciary is not doing what they're supposed to do? It does not mean that at all. However, if they have product A that could do the job and it pays them $5 and product B pays them $7 and it does the same job, they have no obligation to use the cheaper one.
Yeah.
But a fiduciary does. It's the best way to say it. Sure. So I'd want to know that they're being licensed as a fiduciary. Does that make them impeccable? No. It's just like there's good lawyers and bad lawyers. There's good politicians and bad ones that actually say that. Wow. Maybe that's not true. No, there has to be one. Come on, there has to be one. Okay, so, but it's this idea that because someone has a designation, it means they're absolutely the best. No, it does not mean that. You got to find somebody you want to work with, somebody that understands you, someone that listens to you. But these ideas, these things, ignoring taxes and retirement is a huge one. How about this? There's still people right now, I watch YouTube all the time. It's become my #1 content source, CJ, at this stage of life. It really is. There's people that believe you can use the 4% rule as a withdrawal strategy.
What's the 4% rule?
That you can spend 4% of your money every year in retirement and not run out. And the author of the rule is on record saying it doesn't work.
So if I have $1,000 and I spend $40
right
every year,
then if it's invested correctly, it should never go down to zero.
Yeah.
That's correct. And the 4% rule has been out a long time. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Simple as that. There's still people that believe it does, which is crazy.
It is.
And it goes back to like this, when I look at this list of things that you shouldn't say when you're in your 60s. You know, I'm too old for that. All right, here's one that comes up. I'm just waiting for the end. Think about that. That is just giving up in life. Well, I have to say that, though, because there are people listening right now that listen to my show weekly, but they never call in for a second opinion. They listen, but they're not willing to make a change. Because for the last 7 or 8 years, what they've been doing is kind of working. Well, in 22, it didn't work. In 18, fourth quarter of 18, well, it didn't work then either. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. But CJ is a major in the United States Army. Are you concerned with the potential conflict of ending this Ukraine war? Ending it is awesome.
Yeah.
But is there a chance it doesn't end and it escalates?
Absolutely, yeah. Totally, 1,000%. It's actually the more likely scenario at this point.
Wow. So I want peace over there. I want peace everywhere. Yeah. But what, in your opinion, and you're not a financial analyst yet. Yet. But would that disrupt markets in the United States?
Oh, yeah. Tremendous. I mean,
wars tend to do that.
Wars actually tend to help us more than, which is not a great thing, but we do tend to create a booming economy around wars because there's a lot of money spent by the DoD towards it. But ultimately, it's not a good thing overall.
No.
And it's not a great thing
for
the
a retirement
world.
portfolio, it's not a good thing at all.
It's not a good thing,
Can there be money-making opportunities in it? Yes.
Sure.
But how about this? I'm reading about the real estate market potentially crashing.
Yeah. There's a lot of that's been going around recently.
Lot.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of know what that does to a financial market.
Ooh, we saw it in 2008.
What about a banking crisis? Well, Mark, we're not going to have that. Well, if we're not going to have that, then why are so many banks currently insolvent if they had to start cashing in their bond portfolios?
Well, Mark, I want to hear a lot more about that, but we have to go to a commercial break.
Is it time?
It's time for a commercial
All right,
break.
let's get the phone lines open. We got an amazing opportunity for people, and I would encourage you, I'll let CJ talk about it, but I would encourage you, get a second opinion. If it's not with me, get it with somebody. But it's time for a second opinion. Don't let life derail your retirement.
Yep. And change is hard, right? It is, right?
Yes, but breaking up is hard to do as well. However, we're not asking you to break up. We're asking you to get a plan done by a certified financial planner, get that second opinion, get it in writing, take it home with you, and then get yourself started on a confident financial future. CJ, how do they do that?
You just give us a call, 800-501-9805, 800-501-9805. We are a lot of fun here at Alloy Wealth Management. We have a lot of fun, right?
We do.
So part of this
we
process,
enjoy what we do.
That's right. We enjoy what we do, and we we love this game that we're playing, right? Like the game of life. And so give us a call. We want to enjoy the time we have with you. We want you to get a second opinion. We want to see you be successful, and that's ultimately our goal while we're having fun doing those things. But this is Living Large Radio. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the housing market and all the things that are going on in the world right now. We'll see you in a sec. Welcome back to Living Large Radio. I'm CJ. He's here with Mark still. We're hanging out. We're having a good day. And we are talking about the 5 mistakes that are derailing
maybe
your
more than
retirement.
5, but we threw some in there.
There's a lot in there. Yeah, we've discussed a lot of different important topics today. But I want to jump into this other one. Mark, you know, it's important to stress test. You have to look at your plan and say, hey, can this test...
Coming from an Army major, I guess I'm gonna have to listen to that one. Do y'all stress test things?
Oh, all the time, every day. It's called a rehearsal, right? We always are practicing just like we're going to do the actual thing, and we're stress testing to see, does our plan currently work, or do we need to change something?
Wow, I love that, because that's exactly what, and I didn't put these in order of priority, but one of the first things that we could do to make a complete difference, potentially, in your retirement journey would be to just simply do a stress test on your plan. It's one of the things the certified financial planners do for us, is they take your current allocations, the way you're currently managing your money. When we talk about this coming in to get this plan, what that looks like and all, well, one of the processes in there is going to be where we literally discuss with you. We would sit with you, CJ and Sarah, and we would say things like, tell us at this point in life, let's fast forward and assume you're now 58 years old and you're ready to retire, and we're saying things like, tell us about how you feel about the current market. Tell us about your risk tolerances, and it could be different. Sarah's might be way more aggressive than yours, or vice versa. But we're going to ask those questions of you, and then we can actually use technology to come up with a risk score that combines your risk tolerance with hers to show what that looks like. Well, then when my certified financial planners look at your current portfolio, we're not going to tell you to sell this or buy that. That's ridiculous. It's not what we do. We're simply going to run it through the same set of software, and now we're going to come back in writing and say, okay, you had this risk tolerance, and Sarah, you had this one, and combined, we put you together right here. However, your current portfolio, the way it's currently done, is much lower risk than what you're willing to take, or what we see way more often is what? It's much higher risk. You're taking way more risk than either of you. Sometimes it's literally like that. CJ, you're the more risky one, but you're still not even where this portfolio is.
Sure. The other thing I think you see is...
And that's eye-opening as a stress test.
Yeah. The other thing you see is that when you get to a certain point, you're required to take a level of risk, right? And so if you're low risk for a long time, you end up having to take high risk because you're just a little bit behind, but you didn't take enough.
Well, that's the catch-up things where people sometimes will figure out they haven't saved enough for the kind of retirement they want.
Yeah.
And then that's when they make one of the biggest mistakes we see is later in life, they try to get more aggressive, and that's a time when preservation is actually the answer. We have to look for other ways to get this portfolio to perform the way you want it to without taking on additional risk. I could just, please, if that's you, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to end well. So when you think about this, you have to think about this idea that if you've never run your portfolio through real world simulations, you don't have a plan. You really don't, because you don't know how it's going to respond. Imagine you, going back to this military career, having a battle plan or an actionable plan that you've never run through, and you don't know how it's going to work in a real world.
Yeah.
You would never do that.
Yeah.
People's lives are on the line, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say this is life or death, but it's life or death with how you want to retire. It's life or death whether or not you're going to move in with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not you're going to end up being a burden to them after raising them, now you're going to be a burden to them. And who wants to do that? I can't even imagine. I don't want to work with a person that would say, it's okay if my kids have to take care of me. I don't believe that. They didn't ask to be born. You wanted the kids. And the best thing you can do is let them live their lives by not ever being a burden to them, in my humble opinion. So I want to talk about this one. We put in these retirement horror stories, but this is a pretty good one. This man was in his late 60s, and he took a lump sum pension. And I know about this story. It happened. He took the pension buyout during 2008. The company was laying people off. Okay. Imagine that. Yeah. Did that happen in '08?
It did.
Okay, and they said, "Hey, we're going to get you out of here. You're going. You're retired, and you can also take your pension with you, or you can take a lump sum." He decided to take the lump sum pension and roll it into the market, and he did that before the market crash. He did that in late '07, early '08, before it all happened, and he lost nearly 40%. He thought he'd ride it out, but fear got hold of him. He sold it at the bottom, and 15 years later, as he wrote this, he talked about he still had to work part-time at the hardware store just to try to cover the necessities of life. Okay. And I think that one strikes fear for me because it's so similar to my dad. His wasn't then in '08, but it was the Black Monday, and it just changed everything forever. And he didn't have to have that, but he didn't have a plan that had been stress tested. Had anybody run the testing that we can do today, and you could have done it back then differently, it wasn't electronic, but if anybody would have done that and said, okay, well, you're retired now, you've saved this money, you've worked your whole life, this is what you tell us you're going to spend, and here you are with this aggressive portfolio. It doesn't need to be that aggressive to accomplish what you want. You know, it was a pretty modest lifestyle. It wasn't an expensive condo. It was on a golf course, but he could chip and putt without even paying anything. And when he wanted to pay, it wasn't expensive because he was a senior in Florida.
Yeah, that's the dream right there.
That was it for him, and it was. And so he could have made it on what he had. Sure. He didn't need crazy growth. Growth would have been good. Yeah. It might have made him go out to dinner twice a week instead of once or something. But my dad was kind of a happy guy, much like me, and steak and shake was good for him. Yep. He loved going and getting them little thin fries and a steak burger, and that was him. Yep. So he would have been fine, and my mom would have been as well. But the not stress testing his plan derailed the entire retirement. So we've talked about a lot today. But as I wrap this thing up today, and we're going to have to go, we need a longer show, but we've still got a few minutes. I want to talk about this idea of procrastination. Why, if they know they should, why don't they? So if you're listening and you're going, well, I know I'd like to stress test my plan, and I know the guy on the radio is saying he'll do it for free. He's going to say that in a few minutes. And we had 15 spots available. I don't think we even told anybody how many we had available this week, but we actually had 15. And from what they're telling me in my listening device, the editors are saying, hey, we're basically full, but we will have at least 5 more available for this next round of callers. And so a lot of people are taking us up on this. But I'm talking to the one that's not. I'm talking to you, the one that's driving in your car, sitting in the garage with the AM radio on. Everclear, I believe, was who did that great song, AM Radio. I think that was Everclear. It was such a good song. I'm a music junkie, but anyway, yeah. I have regressed. But I'm talking to you that's listening right now, and you've never picked up the phone and called. What exactly, CJ, you've known me for quite a while, but what exactly do they have to lose?
Nothing.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Well, when you're running,
I tried to find a good reason, but there wasn't one.
Right. There's not one, and there's not. And so, when we talk about this stuff, I think people believe when they come into one of our beautiful offices, whether it's Greenville, South Carolina, Huntersville up there at the lake, Lake Norman, Mint Hill, that's one of my favorites. I love it. It's right next to Dunkin' Donuts. I have never been in the door one time. I have never gone in there. I don't drink coffee, and I darn sure don't eat a donut, so not going in there, but I love the smell. It does smell good. The Ballantine office, and we're growing. We're actually hiring and interviewing people now because we continue to grow, which is the growth we've had has been amazing. Yeah. But why someone wouldn't take the opportunity to come visit us in one of those offices and get the second opinion is beyond me. What if we actually could and do what we say we're going to do? What if it actually does take you, and I'm talking to you specifically, and get you on a much more confident financial future? What if it does remove some of the worry some of the unknown, some of the fear that I just don't believe God intends for you to carry around with you. What if we can actually do that? And what if you walk away, maybe not joining us, that's fine, but you walk away and you say, thank you, this has really made a difference for me. Where's the harm in that, CJ?
There's not, I mean, it's just one of those things where I think folks get wrapped up in this idea that I've got it, it's good, I don't need to worry about it, I need to spend my time in other areas. But
That was probably my dad, I guess.
yeah, maybe. And
I
it's,
think he wasn't looking.
well, and not
He was
everybody had the
happy.
opportunity that you are giving other folks, right? Like, and like I said, it's just, it's so easy to pick up the phone, to give us a call, to
Open the phone lines. We got to go now.
get those second eyes looking at that plan.
Open the phone lines for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a call, 800-501-9805. That's 800-501-9805. Call us. We've only got a few spots left for this week, but we want to sit down. We want to talk to you about your current financial plan. Create a new one for it. Get a second set of eyes on that thing.
Yeah, so listen, I hope you found the information today useful and helpful, because each and every week, that's what I want to put out. I want to put out something that can motivate you to make a change, to be a better person. I think that's what we all want. I know I wake up every day and I'm trying to do something that can make me a better human being, a more productive member of society. And that's my goal when it comes to retirement planning for everybody out there. And so as we end, we always try to end with a bit of good news or a challenge, something you can do to improve, because that's what we should do. So let's do this week, and this one comes because I was at a car show recently, and this person walked up to me, and they were just wonderful people, but they basically said, 30 years old, I would guess, and they kind of looked at me and they said, "How have you done this?" And I said, "Well, when you've done this, you mean, having a nice car like this, or my business, or that." And I thought it was a really good question, because it didn't come from an area of hate. They were coming from a real good position. And here's the reality of it. I've done it the same way you can do whatever it is you want to do. You're not too old for that. If you tell me you're too old for it, I'm going to agree. But people in life find themselves sometimes in a place they never dreamed of being. And I would ask you, where was your plan to be somewhere different? That's the bottom line. So let's encourage this week somebody you know to ask them what their dream is. Forget yours for a minute. Go find someone in your family and say, what do you really want to do with this thing called life? And then encourage them to put themselves on a path to achieve it. Because I believe God has given me the same abilities He's given you, and we can all get better together. So let's reach out to a young person this week and help them fulfill their dreams. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it again. Stay tuned, because next week we're going to have another action-packed episode of Living Large Radio with Mark Henry.